Good morning. My name is Jordan Boyer. I'm a community programs educator with UPMC and one of the many people that helped to coordinate this event. We want to share a few reminders today. Please know that for those who are attending the event with us live today, we will be recording the session. So all classrooms should be in speaker view, which means that cameras are turned off. This is usually found in the top right corner of the computer screen. Everyone will be on mute except for the presenters. Although everyone attending should be on mute, the chat function will be available for the teachers to enter a question on behalf of their class. Each presenter will answer them after they finish their presentation. If we run out of time, we will try to provide answers with the schools after the event via email. If you're viewing as a whole class, you have the option to answer the post-test questions that were sent prior to the event. When they're completed, please just send an email letting me know. Now, without further ado, we want to welcome you to the second annual Children's Health Fair, where you will learn how healthy is happy. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. This is the Healthy Lung Station, and healthy is breathing clean air and taking care of your lungs. My name is Cindy, and I'm a respiratory therapist, and I help take care of a lot of people who have heart and lung problems. Today, we're going to be looking at a set of real pig lungs. But first, I want to do a little exercise. I want everyone to take in a nice, big, deep breath in through your nose and blow it out through your mouth. Ready? 1, 2, 3. But how did that feel? It should feel good and it should be easy to do. Breathing clean air that is free from smoke, pollution, dust, mold, and other germs is important in keeping our lungs, brains, and bodies healthy so that we can run, play, grow, and learn. Also, getting enough exercise every day is important so that we can help keep our lungs stronger and be more active longer. Have you ever wondered what those tiny little hairs are for in your nose? They're called cilia, and they help filter out all those things that I just mentioned, including tiny little germs that you can't see. And now I'm going to introduce you to Pam. She's also a respiratory therapist, and she's going to talk to you about smoking and tobacco products. Okay?
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, everyone. My name is Pam, and I have a question for you. So the question I have is, what do you think is the number one thing that people do to hurt their lungs? What would that be? If you said smoking or you're thinking smoking, you're absolutely correct. You're right. We think of tobacco, including cigarettes and cigars. We know there's 7,000 chemicals, and 70 of those chemicals are known to cause cancer. Some of the chemicals that are in tobacco, including acetone, which is a nail polish remover, and ammonia, which is in Windex or window cleaner. And also tar is in cigarettes. And tar, this is a year's worth of tar, and tar collects in the lungs and makes them sticky and not work well. So we know these chemicals are very, very harmful. We know cigarettes and tobacco causes lung cancer, also heart disease, and harms every organ in our body. So I want to show you some other products here. These are also tobacco products. These are called vapes or e-cigarettes. You may know a family member or a friend, a person that's trying to quit smoking and changes to these products, try to quit. At the same time, there's no safe tobacco product. They make these products look like candy and smell sweet and fruity like your favorite candy or cereal. These products contain chemicals. They look like different computer parts or pens or flashlights. But again, very, very harmful to our lungs. Diacetyl is a chemical in them that causes popcorn lung, and also chromium, which is a heavy metal that causes cancer. So I want you guys to remember that there's no safe tobacco product, and vaping is still tobacco. There's another product I want to talk about. It's called chewing tobacco or smokeless tobacco. And this is a Mr. Yuck Mouth. Smokeless tobacco or chewing tobacco causes oral cancer and tooth disease. So again, very, very important to stay away from these products that harm us and can keep our lungs from being healthy. So again, I'll have Cindy take it away. Cindy.
All right, so now we're going to look at a set of real pig lungs. And healthy lungs should be a light pink color, whereas unhealthy lungs will look black from the tar and chemicals that's found in the tobacco products. So first I'm going to inflate the healthy lung. You'll see how nicely that expands. Easy to breathe. Then I'm going to inflate the unhealthy lung. And you'll see that it still inflates, but not as well. And you'll see the dark color from the chemicals and tar. And there's even a tiny little bubble here that could resemble the popcorn lung that is now known to be found in that caused from e-cigarettes or vapes. So which would you rather have? Healthy lungs where you can breathe freely, or unhealthy lungs where it's hard to breathe? We can help keep our lungs healthy by breathing fresh, clean air and not smoking, using tobacco products or vaping or e-cigarettes. I want to thank you for joining us today at the Healthy Lung Station. And remember, healthy is breathing clean air and taking care of your lungs.
Thank you.
Our next learning station is number 2. Healthy is having emotional resilience.
Hi there, I'm Ashley, and I'm going to be talking with you all today about emotional resilience. So in case you've never heard of emotional resilience, I can tell you what it means. It's the ability to bounce back from tough experiences, such as stress, whether that's at school or at home, the death of a loved one, illness, failure, rejection, or trauma. So I feel like there's a word that goes along with emotional resilience, and that is courage. So just keep thinking about that as we're talking about emotional resilience. So emotional resilience is something that we are not born with. However, we can build it. So emotional resilience is a skill you can learn, practice, and grow as you continue through your lives. And the number one factor for kids to have emotional resilience is having at least one stable, committed relationship with a supportive parent, caregiver, or adult. So just think about maybe who that would be in your life. It could be your mom, your dad, maybe an aunt, uncle, grandparent. It can be even be a teacher or a coach. All right, so some traits of emotionally resilient kids is having a sense of humor, being able to laugh, that's a big one, optimism, emotional awareness, that's definitely going to be big. Understanding our feelings and being able to express them appropriately. Spirituality and perspective. So some steps to building emotional resilience. Building connections with others. This is a huge one. Being able to form those friendships and relationships with our peers at school, with our teachers, with other people in the community. The next one is managing our thoughts. So that's really understanding our emotions, our feelings, and being able to understand them and express them and talk about them. And the last part of building our resilience is taking care of ourselves. So what are some things that we can do to recharge, refresh, and take care of ourselves? So today we're going to be doing one of those things to take care of ourselves, and that is yoga. So yoga is a great way to just focus on our breath. It's a way that we can help ourselves feel confident and brave. So yoga allows us to approach things that challenge us with curiosity and kindness to ourselves. All right, so if you all want to stand up and make sure you have some space to move around here, we're going to do a couple of yoga poses. All right, so first we're going to do, it's called fierce pose, or maybe some of you know it as chair, and I'm going to turn to the side here. So what we're going to do is pretend like we're sitting down in a chair, put our arms up in the air like this. And remember, we're going to be breathing. Make sure we're breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth. All right, and we're just focusing on being able to stay in this position and feeling really strong. All right, good job. All right, the next pose we're going to do, it's called Warrior 3. So this is definitely a balance challenge. So definitely, again, we're not comparing ourselves to who's next to us. We're just going to be focusing on being able to stand on one foot bringing your back foot up and putting your arms kind of out like an airplane. And again, depending on where you're at, maybe your foot has to touch down. We'll see. And just focus on our balance. And if you want to give your other foot a try, go ahead. We're going to do this, putting this one up. All right, airplane wings out to the side, focusing on our balance, and you might find one side's better than the other. All right. Okay, the next one we're going to do, it's called lion's breath. You can sit down like this, and this you might feel a little bit silly at first because we're going to kind of make a roar like a lion at the end, but it's a great way to release any tension, any negative energy that we have inside. So we're going to put our hands on our thighs, take a deep breath in, and we're going to roar. And we can even stick out our tongue if we want to. So take a deep breath in and deep breath out. And we can do that a couple of times. And you can be loud lions or you can be quiet ones, whatever you'd like to do. Okay, and the last one we're just gonna do is just some deep breathing. And so you can have a seat wherever you're comfortable. You can sit on your bottom, you can sit back in your chair, whatever works for you. All right, so we're just gonna sit like this, however you're comfortable, and we're just gonna close our eyes and we're gonna take some deep breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth. In through our nose and out through our mouth. All right, and if you'd like, you can even put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and if you need a visual or if you just want to feel your breath moving throughout your body when we're breathing, in through our nose and out through our mouth. And this is something that we can do anywhere, anytime that we need a refresh, that we need to just kind of take a minute for ourselves just to kind of reset. All right. Okay, so in closing, hopefully you've been able to use some of your courage to do some of these yoga moves. So in a quote that I always just like to end with, this is from a book called I Am Courage, and it's by Susan Verde. And her quote is, "We are strong, we are capable, we are important, we are courage." So thank you for learning about emotional resilience with me today.
Step, learning station 3, healthy is helping others.
I think it's actually healthcare careers. Healthcare careers, actually. Okay, so I am Alex Schaefer, and I am part of the recruitment team at UPMC. Today, I'm going to talk to you about different careers available here in our hospital system. So what do you do when you are not feeling well, or if you get hurt? Have you or someone you know ever had to visit the hospital or been in an ambulance? When you go to the hospital on a typical visit, you'll see a mix of people there. You may see our valet services and valet services department upon your arrival. They'll help you to park your car so you can focus on your visit. When you walk in, you'll be greeted by someone at the front desk who will direct you where to go in the hospital. And while you walk to your destination, you may pass a security officer. They're here to keep us safe. A registration representative may check you in and collect your contact information like name, phone number, and address. You may also have to provide your insurance information, but I'm sure your parents can help you with that. After that, you may see a patient care assistant and nurse who will show you to your room. And after you talk to the nurse about how you're feeling, you'll meet with a doctor who will go over your next steps to feeling better. If you need any medicine to help you feel better, you may have to go to get medicine from the pharmacy to help you. And you'll see pharmacists and pharmacy technicians there. If you have to have a test done, you may see a phlebotomist who will draw some blood for testing, and they will take blood to our team in the lab for continued testings. You may need an x-ray or scan to make sure you do not have any broken bones. An x-ray tech will help you with that. While you're at the hospital, you may notice a housekeeper keeping the area clean for the patients. You may also need a meal if you're hungry, and our food service team will deliver some food right to you. Have you ever seen an ambulance in action? I've seen them respond to car accidents and other emergencies. Our EMTs and paramedics operate these vehicles that are specifically designed to care for patients between where the accident occurred and safely get them to the hospital for care from our doctors and nurses. To keep our our ambulances running safely for our parents or our patients, hopefully not your parents. We make sure the auto mechanics are doing regular checkups on them, just like when your family vehicle goes in for maintenance to the auto shop. And after you visit the hospital, you may need to see your primary care doctor. There you may see medical assistant who will take your vital statistics like height, weight, and blood pressure, and they'll relay this information to a nurse or physician who will check in on you to make sure you feel better. Our hospital has a lot of career options, and we hope you enjoyed learning about a few.
Next is Learning Station 4. Healthy is finding help when you need it.
Hello, my name is Karen Cointot. I am a community paramedic with UPMC Memorial Hospital. My professional title is Emergency Medical Technician Paramedic. There are different types of providers in emergency medicine. We have a basic life support provider, which is an emergency medical technician. And then there is a paramedic, which is an advanced life support provider. This topic, I'm going to be talking about when is the best time to call 911. What is considered an emergency? An emergency is when you need the police department, a fire department, or you need somebody from the medical department. There are different types of vehicles and modes of transportation that we use in the emergency medical services. We're all familiar with the fire department, with the fire trucks. We're all familiar with the police department and the police vehicles. But in emergency medicine, we have different types of vehicles. In the top left picture, you can see the ambulance, and in front of the ambulance is a yellow all-terrain vehicle. An ambulance will transport somebody to and from the hospital. The all-terrain vehicle we use when we can't get to a patient, when we can't drive the ambulance or a police car or a fire department truck to the patient. If they're in the woods because they were hunting and fell out of their tree, we would need to use an all-terrain vehicle. We use the all-terrain vehicle during the York Fair in York County. The top right-hand side, you can see that there's a small car that is called a chase car that is equipped with life support equipment for a paramedic. There is medications that we can use to start your heart. There are medications we can use to slow down your heart. There are medications that we can use because you're having trouble breathing. The bottom left-hand side, you can see that there's a helicopter. Sometimes we need to use the helicopter when we need to have the person taken to the hospital as quickly as we possibly can. And by going by an ambulance would be too long for the patient. Now let's talk about when to call 911. You will call 911 when there is an emergency, when there is fire in your house, when there is lots of smoke in your house, when there's somebody in your house that doesn't belong there, when somebody is trying to break into your house or to rob you. An emergency is when your school is on lockdown. An emergency is when you have a broken bone or you have a lot of bleeding. An emergency is when you can't talk or you can't breathe. Things that are not considered an emergency are when you have a stomach ache, when you feel like you're coughing, when you're fighting with your family, your parents, your siblings, your brother, your sister, having a fight with your friends. If you need help with homework, that is not a time to call 911. You don't call 911 because you have a little splinter on your hand. Those are all things that your doctor can take care of, or your mommy and daddy. So let's think about that. If you had a fight with your mom and your dad, and your parents decided to ground you, punish you, and they took your toys away, is that a time when you want to call 911? No, we do not call 911 because we're mad at our mom and dad. What number would you call if you had to call for an emergency? Look at the slides. Would you call 311? Would you call 711? Would you call 717? Or would you call 911? If you said call 911, you are correct. Remember, 911 is for emergencies, for police, fire, or for medical personnel. Now let's talk about when you call 911. You're going to be speaking to somebody who is called a dispatcher. You must remain calm when you're talking to them. Try and speak clearly. Don't whisper, don't yell. Try not to cry. As hard as it is, we need to be able to understand you. Tell the dispatcher what type of emergency you have. Is somebody choking? Is there a fire? Is somebody in pain? Is somebody having trouble breathing? Tell them that you need the police department, the fire department, or an ambulance. Make sure you tell them where the help is needed. Is it at your house? If so, do you know your address? Give them your address. If it's at a playground, do you know the name of the playground? Can you at least mention buildings that are nearby of businesses, whether it's a bank or a place that you eat, a restaurant? Make sure you give your full name and your address to the dispatcher. Does everybody know what their address is? Do you know your phone number? Try and remember those things. They're important when you call 911. And most importantly, do not hang up with the dispatcher until that dispatcher hangs up first. So let's think about this. What is an emergency? Is an emergency because you're mad at your mom and dad? Is an emergency because you need help with your homework? Is an emergency because you skinned your knee riding your bike and you see a small amount of blood? Or is an emergency when someone cannot breathe? If you answered someone cannot breathe, you are correct. Other things to do for an emergency is to have an emergency plan. If you have a fire in your house, do you have smoke detectors? Have your parents tested those smoke detectors? Do they work? Do you have a meeting location that you would meet outside the house in the event of a fire or an emergency? Some place where you and your family can meet so that we know everybody is out of the house and safe. Talk to your parents about a family emergency. Ask if there is a plan. Practice this with your parents. Practice it to see how you would get out of the house, where you would meet. How long will it take you to get out of the house? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your teacher. Be safe.
Up next is Learning Station 6, Healthy is a Cavity-Free Smile.
Healthy is having a cavity-free smile. So today, we'll talk teeth. Good. Yes, please. Thank you. I'm back. So today we're going to talk teeth. A couple of facts I wanted to share with you. Enamel is stronger than bone. So that's a pretty cool fact. And enamel is the outer layer of your teeth. Cavities are also contagious. So whenever you exchange saliva, you're exchanging the bacteria for cavities. Ancient cultures used tree bark to clean their teeth. It's true, and I've tried it, and it does remove plaque buildup from your teeth. And sharks are pretty cool animals. They typically lose at least one tooth per week, but don't worry, a new one will appear within a day or two. That's something that does not happen with our teeth. So it is very important that we take good care of our teeth. And part of that is controlling the amount of plaque that we have in our mouths. So what is plaque and what causes plaque? Plaque forms on our teeth. It's a bacteria that we have in our mouth that releases acid that develops the plaque or helps to form the plaque on our teeth. And that happens when we're drinking milk or juice, any kind of soft drink or bread, pasta, and fruit, anything that contains sugar or that is a fermentable carbohydrate. These bacteria release acid that break down the carbohydrates, and the combination of the carbs and the acid producing this bacteria and with it mixes up into something sticky, and you'll feel it on your teeth. That's plaque. They feel fuzzy, and that is the #1 sign that you have plaque on your teeth. So it requires that we control that amount of plaque. Why brush and floss? Well, the truth is, like I said, we have to control the amount of bacteria in our mouth by controlling the amount of plaque. So that requires that we brush and floss regularly. In order for us to prevent cavities and gum disease, we have to brush and floss. And we need a healthy mouth to have a healthy body, along with a healthy diet. So remember, eating those carbs and that sugar frequently throughout the day, we're feeding the bacteria in our mouth and we're developing plaque. If we don't brush and we don't floss, what happens is our gums get affected, they become unhealthy, and also our teeth start to break down. The bacteria and the acid that it releases onto our teeth will cause cavities if we're not brushing and flossing. So I thought it would be really cool to kind of give you a visual, sort of like a little science experiment about how bacteria reacts to sugar. So here I have some yeast, right? I have some warm water, and I poured this yeast and water together before I got here, hoping that it would kind of kickstart the reaction. Nothing's happened, but let's see. I'm going to add some warm water, all right? I'm going to mix it in here. And then I'm going to add sugar to this yeast, because what happens is the yeast is supposed to react to the sugar in the same way that the bacteria in our mouth reacts to the sugar. We feed off of it. It feeds off of what we eat, and it starts to multiply and reproduce. And that's how plaque is formed. So what was supposed to happen here, maybe I'll add a little more sugar, let's see, is the yeast is feeding off of this sugar. So I added a little extra. And you mix it in, and it's supposed to start to rise, is how it works. Well, in our mouths is how our bacteria reacts to sugar and carbohydrates. Once again, this year, my experiment was not successful, but to those science teachers, please try this experiment in your classroom with your students to kind of demonstrate how plaque forms on your teeth. So we want to be able to prevent cavities, and preventing cavities is how you have a healthy smile. So we want to make healthy choices, reducing the amount and frequency of the sugar drinks and foods, those carbohydrates that I mentioned, soda and pop. Fruit juice, even if it's 100% natural, contains sugar. It will still have that same effect on your teeth, and the bacteria will feed off of it. Sticky foods like fruit snacks, stay there and feed the bacteria all day. They get stuck in the grooves of your teeth. Candies, chocolate, all contain a lot of sugar. So let's stick with healthy habits here. We definitely want to be brushing every morning and every night for 2 full minutes using those circles. Make sure you're flossing every night before bed. That takes the plaque out from in between. It helps your gums stay healthy. You want to drink water after you eat, meals or a snack. That helps to get your mouth back to a normal state after exposing your teeth and your mouth to the sugar and carbs. And for our athletes, I want to say, wear a mouth guard. It does help to protect your teeth and prevent you from getting a concussion. It does absorb some of those forces if you were to get hit in the mouth. So let's make healthy choices. Let's be happy and share smiles. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, now we are going to exercise our bodies and our brains. We are going to use our imagination. So stand up if you are able and pretend you have a big pot in front of you full of ooey gooey slime. You're going to take your big stirrer and put it in your pot. Oh, it's really hard to stir. You have to really use your muscles to stir that slime. But the more you stir, the better it gets. And you can go faster and faster, put your whole body into stirring that slime. Woo! All right, whew, I'm getting a little tired. I'm just gonna stretch my neck out a little bit, stretch my arms. Okay. Now I'm going to stir it some more, but I'm going to go the opposite direction. But oh no, it hardened up again. Now we have to really push our way through that slime. It's so difficult. Oh my goodness, are you pushing? Are you really pushing through that slime? Oh, I think you are, because it's getting easier. It's getting easier and faster, and we can really, really slime it up. All right. Now we are going to pretend that we fell into the pot of slime. Oh no, now we are the slime. Stretch your slimy bodies out and then roll them up into a slimy ball. Now stretch them out again, roll them up. And when you're doing it, make a face like this when you're a slimy ball, and then like this when you're all stretched out. So one more time, stretch it out. And then make a slimy, slimy ball. Ooh, that felt so good. All right, now you're just gonna be you again. All right, we're gonna do a little breathing exercise. Since it's pretty cloudy out today, it looks like it might rain. We're gonna make a cloud. And when you make your cloud, breathe in, okay? So like this. Now it's gonna rain, so when it rains, you breathe out. Shh. And do that a few more times. Breathe in. Breathe out. Shh. Breathe in. Breathe out. Shh. Okay, sit back down and enjoy the rest of the day.
Up next, Learning Station 6, Healthy is Finding Balance with Technology.
Hi guys, my name is Nikki, and today we will be talking about how Healthy is finding balance with technology. So first, we're going to start out with technology in today's world. I think we can all agree that technology has changed our world for the better, and certainly made a lot of things a lot more helpful for us. So we know that we can connect very easily with friends and family. We can find out information very quickly, learn things at the snap of a fingers, etc. However, with this new change, I think we really need to be keeping in mind that we're not going into overuse of technology, and also knowing what overuse looks like. So today we're going to be talking about how we can really find that balance, and how we can start doing that is by asking ourselves the following questions. So question 1, how much time do I spend using technology every day? And I want you guys just to take a moment here just to think about how much time you spend every day. So the daily average for ages 8 through 18 is actually 7.5 hours every day. And the daily recommendation is only about 2 to 3 hours every day. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm probably closer to that 7.5 hour mark than I am to the 2 to 3 hour mark, something that we can try here is making slow, gradual changes each week. So say you're at 6.5 hours every week or 5 hours every week, we just cut it back down by 1 hour. Try that for 1 to 2 weeks. And then maybe in the next 2 weeks, then we try to cut it back again by another hour, and then so on and so forth. So next question we can be asking ourselves is, am I using technology at all moments of my day? And we really want to preach here that it's not a one size fits all, right? What might work for you might not necessarily work for a friend. So really choosing times of the day you would be okay with having screen time. So some examples might be right when you get home from school, after homework, after dinner, maybe just afternoon on a weekend, things like that. However, we want to be mindful that there are moments where it's actually just best to limit screen time altogether. One of those moments being while we're eating, right? So if we're using technology or screens or anything like that and we're eating, we're really not mindfully eating. We're not paying attention to those hunger or fullness cues, things like that. Even just relaxing right before bed. So maybe taking that hour beforehand to just decompress, read, not really having any sort of like visual stimulation could be helpful. My clicker stopped. Question 3 we can be asking ourselves is technology impacting other areas of my life? So some areas it could be impacting our sleep. I know I just talked about that a little bit. So maybe you're staying up too late on your phones or playing video games, talking with friends, things like that, and you're really not getting that quality 8+ hours of sleep. Maybe you're finding you're not wanting to spend as much time with friends and family or really going outside, things like that. Maybe you're finding it difficult to make time for sports or other activities. Also, maybe with eating, maybe you're skipping meals or overeating at meals or undereating, things like that. So if you're sitting there thinking, I 100% think that technology has negatively impacted at least one of these areas, one of the things that we could be doing here is just pick one area that we decrease our technology time in. So maybe it's sleep. Again, maybe we're just not using technology an hour beforehand, but maybe we're then replacing it with something else like reading or a different activity that's a little bit more grounding for us then. Maybe we also could be asking mom, dad, grandparents, whomever lives at home to help support us and just remind you when you need to take a break then. Okay. Maybe not other questions to ask ourselves, but things to just reflect and think about. So other areas that technology can be impacting if we're in that overuse might be our mood. So maybe you're finding that you're more angry, annoyed, sad, anxious, or stressed. And then you're also thinking, I'm closer to that 7.5 hour mark than I am to the 2 to 3 hours. So maybe that's one of the indications you're overusing technology. Also concentration. Maybe you're finding it difficult to concentrate in school, really pay attention to schoolwork at home and getting things done. And just some post questions. So things to think about. We talked about this today, so see if we can answer the questions. So 1, it is okay that my use of technology takes away time from sleeping, eating, physical activity, and spending time with friends. The answer here is false. It is not okay that technology takes away those times from those things. Question 2, how many hours of screen time use is healthy every day? The answer here is 2 to 3 hours every day.
And girls. My name is Denise. I'm one of the dietitians here at UPMC Memorial. And part of my job is learning how to teach people how to eat healthy. And that's what we're going to do today using My Plate. You might have learned a little bit about My Plate already in school, but let's take a few minutes to review My Plate. My Plate helps us to have a balanced diet. All foods that are in My Plate are healthy for you, and no food group is more important than another. Our first group that we'd like to talk about is our protein group. So we're going to put that here on our plate. Proteins are really important for our health. One of the big things they do is help our muscles to grow. We have a lot of choices in the protein group. Some of them do come from meat items like steak and fish and chicken, but we also can get protein from foods that don't come from animals. Those are from vegetable sources, things like tofu, so you might be familiar with that. You might also be familiar with nuts and nut butter, so things like peanuts and peanut butter and also almond butter will give us protein as well. One of the other plant sources that we can get protein from is dried beans. So things like split peas, beans, kidney beans, all sorts of those type of beans provide our body with protein. And again, we want protein to help our muscles stay strong. The key to the protein group is to vary your sources of protein. Have all different types of protein. And we can't forget about eggs. Eggs are also part of our protein category. And you can see protein is important for us. It takes up a portion of our plate. For most young people, we're looking at about 5 to 6 ounces of protein every day. Our next group that we're going to talk about is our dairy group. And you can see our dairy group off to the side here. We need about 3 cups of dairy per day. There's an important mineral in the dairy group. Can you think of what it is? It starts with the letter C, and if you guessed calcium, you're right. Calcium is important to keep our bones and our teeth very strong. Of course, in the dairy group, we have the obvious, we have milk, but there's also some things that are made from milk also that provide our body with calcium, and that's things like cheese, and also yogurt. So we'll put those on our plate. We need about 3 cups of dairy every day to keep us healthy. So now let's talk about another food category, and that's the grain group. And you can see that's here in the corner. So our grains are going to provide our body with a lot of nutrition. They help to give our body energy because they have something called carbohydrates. So we have a lot of things in the grain group that can help keep our body healthy. So we have bread, we have things like popcorn, we also have things like rice and pasta and noodles. When we think about the grain group, we have 2 different categories. We have refined grains and we have whole grains. We want to make more of our grains whole because they provide our body with more nutrition, and especially with that nutrient called fiber. To have a healthy diet, we're trying to have about 5 to 6 ounces of grains every day. And a serving of grain would be a slice of bread, a half of a cup of pasta or rice, or about a cup of breakfast cereal. So we have a good portion of our plate covered, but there's still more to go. We're going to talk about a really important group called the vegetable group. So when we're looking at our vegetables, we're going to see there's a lot of choices in our vegetable category. Our vegetable category gives us a lot of vitamins and minerals. One of our key vitamins that are in our vegetables are really important to help us to have good vision. So things that are in the vegetable category are carrots. We also have things like tomatoes. We also have things like green beans. We have celery. We have broccoli. We have cauliflower. We have radishes, all different types of peppers. So you can see we have a lot of things in the vegetable category. Our goal for vegetables are to have about 2.5 cups of vegetables every day. So think back to yesterday. How many servings of vegetables did you have? Our last group on the food guide pyramid is the fruit category. So the fruit category is up here at the top of our pyramid. We have a lot of different fruits as well, and they're very colorful, just like our vegetable category. So we have things like apples, we have things like watermelon, we have peaches, we have plums, we have pineapples, we have bananas. And even though we can get juice from our fruits, we really encourage to have more whole fruits than juice to help keep our body healthy. One of the things that you'll notice about the fruit and vegetable group is all the colors. One of the key things that we want to remember when we eat things from the fruits and the vegetable category is to have a rainbow of colors. So look for things that are red, like apples and bell pepper. Look for things that are orange, like oranges and carrots, and things that are yellow and white and purple. So the more colorful your fruit and vegetable choices, the more nutrition you're going to get. So when we talk about putting things together, let's actually get a plate. So you can see I do have a plate with all of our different food categories. I have some milk from the milk group. I have an apple from the fruit group. I have some carrots from the vegetable group. I have some salmon from the protein group. And I have some brown rice from our grain group. So that's a good example maybe for an evening meal. But what about breakfast? So how many of you out there had breakfast this morning? Let me see a show of hands. I'm really hoping that everybody raised their hand. Breakfast is a super important meal for boys and girls because it helps to get our body going in the morning. When we talk about breakfast, we want at least a 3-star breakfast. A 3-star breakfast has 3 of the different food groups. So you could have a piece of whole grain toast, a glass of milk, an orange. That's at least 3 food groups, but we could even get a little bit more food groups if we wanted to. So make sure you're eating some healthy foods every day by using My Plate as your guide. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the fair.
Perfect. Up next, our final learning station, Learning Station 8. Healthy is getting your body moving and your blood pumping.
Hannah, thanks for having me today. And I'm here to talk to you about physical activity and why it's really important. So raise your hand if you like to play in the playground or maybe your backyard. How about if you like to dance? Or maybe you play on a team of some kind, like a sports. How about raise your hand if you like to do karate? Yeah. How about raise your hand if you like to do outdoors activities like go for a hike or kayak, something like that. Maybe you're in the Scouts, Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, something like that. All right, raise your hand. Maybe you really like to ride your bike or maybe use a jump rope. Any of those? Well, all of those types of activities count as physical activity or exercise. So how do you know if what you like to do counts as physical activity? Well, here's a couple of tips. One, you can ask yourself, am I breathing heavier when I do that activity? Is my heart and my breath in and out, is that going faster than it normally does if I'm just sitting down? Or is my heart rate faster? Does it feel like it's pumping? Can you feel it kind of pounding in your chest? That's another good indication that maybe what you're doing counts as physical activity. And last, ask yourself the question, if I had to sing a song right now, would I be able to do it or would it be difficult? So when we're doing something that's physical activity, we can still talk probably, but to sing would be really hard. And we want to do at least an hour of physical activity for kids every day. It's really important. But why is it important? Well, a lot of reasons. Well, first, good for that brain, our memory, and our mood. What kind of mood are we in? Are we good mood or are we feeling kind of grouchy? It's good for our muscles. We want to be strong. And don't forget that heart is a muscle too. It's good for our heart to be strong and our lungs to be able to breathe well in and out. It's good for our bones. You can feel one right here. We want our bones to be strong and healthy. Just our overall health and to be at a healthy weight. Remember, for 1 hour every day, it's important for kids to be active and up and moving around. So lots of good reasons to do it. Let's try it together. So wherever you are, stand up, maybe at your desk or somewhere. Go ahead and stand up. And you're going to join me for just a little bit, all right? So we're going to start by just marching in place. March. Can you do it? Good job. I know you're doing it. How about some jumping jacks? Now be careful, if somebody has asthma, it might get pretty difficult. Or if you have an injury and something's painful, then you can skip it. But jumping jacks, whoo, those are tough. Okay, stop. How about some toe touches? Ready? 1, 2, woo. 3. Couple more. 1. 2. Okay, stand up nice and tall. We're gonna put our arms across. Be careful if you got somebody right next to you. Or furniture around or whatever, being careful. And then back to marching in place. Whew. You're doing great. Just a couple more. Can you balance on one foot like a tree? Woo! Can you do it? How about the other side? Woo! Good job. Can you kind of pedal your hands? How about you dance however you want? Woo! Woo! Do you notice, does your heart rate feel like it's higher? Is your breathing heavier and faster? That was good exercise. And we're going to slow down a little, do some good stretches. Arms out nice and wide. Nice deep breaths in and out. And then thumbs down the other way. Stretch overhead. And the other way. And then down to our leg and put one foot out straight in front of me. Just gentle stretching. Good way to cool down when you're done in the other side. That you can do anywhere, even inside your own home. It doesn't have to be hard. Maybe you even have a video game that you have to stand up and move around to do. That would count too. Anything that you're moving, exercising, getting that heart rate up, that breathing. It's good for your body, good for your mind, good for our feelings. So what else could you do? A couple other examples. Maybe you love to play soccer and you're going to go out and kick the ball around. Maybe you like to play baseball or wiffle ball or something. You want to play catch or practice your batting with a friend. Maybe you want to try those karate moves like we said. Maybe you like to go out on that hike and you want to bring your binoculars and check out, see what you can see, right? Go for a nice walk. Maybe you like to go out on your boat and paddle. Back and forth, back and forth. That's good exercise. Maybe you like to ride your bike. Don't forget your helmet. Pop that on. Go out for a spin for a little while. Or one other, that jump rope. Maybe you're a jump roper. That's a tough one for me, but you can give it a whirl. Try it out. Whatever it is you like to do, there's no right or wrong way. Have fun. You're going to do great. 1 hour every day. Get up and get moving. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
We want to thank all of you for joining us today. Hope you learned something new and hope you now have a new sense of your overall health and wellness. Teachers, remember to answer those post-test questions that were sent via email. And if you have any extra questions for the presenters, please email them as well, and we will respond with the answers. On behalf of everyone here at UPMC, thank you for attending our health fair, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Stay healthy and stay happy.